Okay. In last session, we have finished up to the Hall effect sensor as well as we have covered, and the next part is the strain gauges based sensor. Next, we have seen also piezoelectric based sensors, and at last we have seen the limit switches. Okay, in last lecture we have finished up to this. Today we will start with next pneumatic switch. Okay, function of pneumatic switch and where we can use this. All these are the some of the sensors are used in our robots. हे जे काही switches आहेत किंवा जे काही सेन्सर्स आहेत ते आपण कुठे यूज करणार आहेत तर त्या ठिकाणी तर आपल्या रोबोट मध्ये यूज करणार. Having each sensor having different role. Okay, if you go to the suppose if you take the Hall effect sensor, this Hall effect sensors are used for to measure the velocity of robot arm. For we need these kinds of Hall effect sensor. Okay, last time we have discussed how it is working of this Hall effect sensor. Okay, आता हे कसं वर्क होणार आहे तर पाठीमागच्या वेळेस डिस्कस केलेलं होतं. तर एक कंडक्टिंग इलेक्ट्रिक कंडक्टिंग मेटल प्लेट घेतलेली आपण त्या ठिकाणी, और सिम्पली यू कॅन से दॅट एक मेटल प्लेट घेतलेली आहे. त्या मेटल प्लेटला काय केले तर त्या ठिकाणी तर दोन एंडला मी काय केले तर एक व्होल्टेज, ओके, एका ठिकाणी पॉझिटिव्ह टर्मिनल अटॅच केलेलं आहे, एक मेटल प्लेट आहे, त्या साईडला दोन वायर कनेक्ट केलेले आहेत. त्या दोन वायर, एक वायर काय करणार आहे तर बॅटरीला कनेक्ट करणार आहे ह्या दोन्ही वायर. एक वायर मी काय करणार आहे तर पॉझिटिव्ह टर्मिनलला कनेक्ट करेन आणि जी काही सेकंड असेल तर निगेटिव्ह टर्मिनलला कनेक्ट करेन. ओके, वेन मी अटॅच these two terminals to the battery, okay, it will start flowing the current inside that. ओके, काय होणार आहे तर करंट फ्लो व्हायला सुरुवात होईल. आता करंट फ्लो होणार आहे म्हणजे काय होणार आहे तर इलेक्ट्रॉन्स स्टार्ट मूव्हिंग फ्रॉम, ओके, दिस पॉझिटिव्ह टर्मिनल्स इनसाइड द मेटल प्लेट ऑल्सो. ओके, मेटल प्लेट मध्ये मूव्ह होणार. ओके, if I will keep one permanent magnet above this metal plate or the इलेक्ट्रिकल कंडक्टिंग प्लेट, ओके, आपण ही जी काही इलेक्ट्रिक कंडक्टिंग प्लेट किंवा त्याला मेटल प्लेट असं म्हणतो, त्या मेटल प्लेटच्या वरती जर मी एक परमनंट मॅग्नेट जर अटॅच केला तर काय होणार आहे तर त्या ठिकाणी तर इट विल स्टार्ट द डिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ electrons. Okay, means positive and negative electrons, it will start deflecting to the other end of this plate. Okay, ह्या प्लेटच्या दुसऱ्या एंडला काय होणार आहे तर डिफ्लेक्ट होणार. And again I will attach two more terminals to that opposite terminals, and from that terminals I will measure the output voltage, and that output voltage I will convert that into the angular velocity. जे काय और व्हेलॉसिटी वी कॅन से दॅट, हे जे काय आउटपुट व्होल्टेज आहे त्यावर तुम्ही काय किती व्हेलॉसिटी डेव्हलप होते, ओके, व्होल्टेज किती डेव्हलप होते ते व्होल्टेज मी काय करणार तर कन्वर्ट व्हेलॉसिटी मध्ये कन्वर्ट करणार. दॅट ओनली आय हॅव रिटन दिस ऑल द पार्ट्स हियर. Okay, next we have seen the videos related to that one. Again, strain gauges. Okay, yesterday we have seen strain gauges. These gauges are used to measure the force and strain. Where we can attach these sensors, strain gauge sensor, at the we can fingers of that robot. Okay, रोबोटचे जे काही फिंगर्स असतात तर त्या ठिकाणी आपण अशा फोर्स मेजरमेंट किंवा सेन्सर, तर सपोज एखादी मेटल पार्ट असेल तर त्या ठिकाणी काय असणार तर मॅक्झिमम फोर्स ना आपल्याला काय करणं अटॅच करणं गरजेचं आहे. जर आपण त्या ठिकाणी, ओके, एखादी ग्लास मटेरियल असेल तर in that case we require to minimum force apply on that glass plate, okay, to pick up from the ground. Similarly for that, त्या केस मध्ये आपल्याला काय लागणार आहे तर अशा टाइपचे सेन्सर्स लागणार आहेत. कुठले तर स्ट्रेन गेज सेन्सर. ओके, अगेन इट फंक्शन डिपेंड अपॉन, आता हे जे फंक्शनिंग कसं होणार आहे तर इफ लेंथ ऑफ वायर चेंजेस, जर तुम्ही बघितलं असेल आता स्ट्रेन गेज म्हणजे काय तर इट इज वन कॉइल ऑफ वायर. ओके, सिंपल एक वायरची कॉईल आपण म्हणूया तर त्या ठिकाणी तर, आणि ही जर लेंथ चेंज झाली तर रेजिस्टन्स ऑब्विसली काय होणार आहे, तर ह्या वायर मधला चेंज होणार आहे, आणि जो काय रेजिस्टन्स चेंज होईल त्यावरती आपण काय करणार आहे, तर किती स्ट्रेन डेव्हलप झालं हे आपण त्या ठिकाणी फाइंड आउट करणार आहे. इन that strain gauges we are using this Wheatstone bridge circuit. Okay, last time we have discussed. Next, piezoelectric based sensor. Okay, in that two metal plate, in between that two metal plates, if you put some piezoelectric materials like quartz, and property of quartz is, if we apply the force on that quartz material, it will provide, okay, some micro volt, or the, we can say that, small voltage it will produce inside that material, and that material produces the amount of voltage we can measure and we can convert upon, depend upon the, okay, how much amount of pressure it is produced inside that, किती प्रेशर प्रोड्यूस झालंय ते आपण त्या ठिकाणी कन्वर्ट करू शकतो. ओके, अगेन this last time we have seen, again limit switch we have seen, where we can use these limit switches. Okay, limit switch, again it is similar to our on off controllers or the switches in our home appliances. ज्या पद्धतीने आपल्या घरामध्ये स्विचेस असतात, तर त्याचं फंक्शन काय असतं, स्विचचं फंक्शन काय असणार आहे, तर त्या ठिकाणी तर टू ऑन अँड ऑफ दॅट light, fan, or the any electric instrument. Similarly, in our robots also we have to feed the switches, okay, to on and off, and in front of that switches we have written limit. Limit means for specific interval that switch should be on, either on or off. Okay, for that we require this limit switch sensor. आपल्याला हे लिमिट स्विच सेन्सर लागणार आहे. तर त्यामध्ये काय असणार आहे, तर त्या ठिकाणी तर, ओके, it is, there are different types of limit switches. Again, pressure sensing limit switches are there. Again, or we can say that hydraulic limit switches are there, pneumatic limit switches are there, electrical limit switches are there. Okay, those are used in our home appliances. These are the electrical switches. Okay, similarly switches we can put inside that our robot to control the movement of robot. Okay, again we have seen the video how actually it is working of that limit switch. Now we will move towards the next switch. It is pneumatic switch. Okay, these are the, again these switches used for, okay, active and deactive of electrical signals, or simply we can say that to control the movement of the arm, okay, robot arm. Again, this pneumatic switches, it is similar to our electrical switches. Only difference, to control that switch, we require the pneumatic power. Means pneumatic power means air power. Okay, with the help of air power, we can control the switch movement. Means either on or off, we can control with the help of this pneumatic switch. In a based system based on the level of air pressure detected by the component. Okay, you simply remember that pneumatic switches म्हणजे काय आहे, तर it is similar to our electric switch, is used for, okay, on or off the electrical signals with the help of pneumatic or air pressure. Okay, air pressure च्या साहाय्याने जर आपण ऑन ऑफ करत असेल तर त्या स्विचेसला आपण काय म्हणतो, तर न्यूमॅटिक स्विचेस असं म्हणणार. ओके, अंडरस्टूड. नेक्स्ट, a pressure switch opens and closes the electrical contact point when the pressure of compressed air reaches the designated value. Means certain amount, if the pressure will reach, suppose if you take the example of your cooker. ओके, कुकर तुम्ही बघितला असेल घरामध्ये, तर त्या ठिकाणी काय असतं तर ऍट सर्टन लेवल okay it will create the pressure okay and after that it will release that pressure okay or and it will start the whistling okay might be you have seen सगळ्यांनी बघितलं असेल आपल्या घरातलं कुकर मध्ये काय असतं तर सर्टन प्रेशर त्यामध्ये क्रिएट होणार आहे आणि त्यानंतर प्रेशर जास्त झाला तर तो काय असणार आहे तर त्या वरती आपण शिट्टी म्हणतो त्या शिट्टी मधून तो काय असेल तर तो रिलीज झालेला तुम्ही बघू शकता इट इज वन टाइप ऑफ न्यूमॅटिक स्विच वी कॅन से दॅट ओके ते एक सिंपल एक आपण स्विच आहे असं न्यूमॅटिक स्विच आहे असं म्हणूया त्या इट कन्सिस्ट ऑफ प्रेशर रिसिव्हिंग पार्ट द इलेक्ट्रिक कॉन्टॅक्ट बिटवीन जनरेट्स इलेक्ट्रिकल सिग्नल and the pressure setting parts okay a pressure switch monitor the air pressure and when it goes below or above the pressure value the monitor operates a micro switch to open and close the contact point to generate an electrical signal means in that pneumatic switches it is actually it is one type of electrical signal that pressure it will convert into the electrical signal. Yogesh, can you mute yourself? Okay, pressure we can convert into the electrical signals with the help of the switch. Okay, we will see with one video. Okay, actually how that it is converted. Okay, means suppose I will draw here. I will take. Okay, suppose this is one block, and here is we're applying the pressure. Okay, from here we're applying the pressure inside that. Okay, after that it is connected with, there are 3 points, 1 2 and 3. Okay, one lever is we can consider. Okay, at start, okay, when we apply the pressure inside that, it will reach to here. Okay, and here is one, we can say that certain pressure, suppose at start we have 1 bar pressure. Okay, at start suppose we have 1 bar pressure. Okay, this one is the, we can say that closed condition and this one is the open, similar to our switch. Okay, आता हे स्विच स्विच आहे म्हणून आपण त्या ठिकाणी तर इथे एक लिव्हर आहे. जर हा लिव्हर ह्या कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये असेल तर काय असणार आहे तर ह्या ठिकाणी काय असेल तर बटन क्लोज आहे आपण म्हणूया, बटन हे क्लोज आहे. ओके, at 1 bar suppose at initial condition we can say that this pneumatic switch is designed for the 5 bar. ओके, आता हे जी काही स्विच आहे आपण काय करूया तर 5 बार साठी डिझाईन केलेले कन्सिडर करूया, 5 बार प्रेशर साठी. आता काय असणार आहे तर इफ ऍट initial condition if 1 bar pressure inside that then switch at okay या ठिकाणी जो काही लिव्हर आहे तो काय असणार आहे तर बंद असेल. ओके, if I will increase 2 bar again at a same condition switch will be off condition. 2 bar 3 bar also it is in off condition. 4 bar also it is off condition. 5 bar again it is off condition. If I will exceed above the 5 bar, okay, I will exceed above the 5 bar, then definitely this lever will move and it will go to the, okay, आता कुठे जाईल, from closed condition to the, it will move to the open. Okay, कुठे जाणार आहे तर this lever will move to the open condition and we start releasing the pressure from here. Okay, काय करणार आहे तर प्रेशर रिलीज करायला सुरुवात करणार. मीन्स this system it is used as a okay safety system for our instrument. Okay, सेफ्टी सिस्टीम म्हणून आपण त्या ठिकाणी किंवा प्रेशर रिलीजिंग बार म्हणून आपण त्या ठिकाणी यूज करू शकतो. मीन्स वी कॅन से दॅट at initial condition of the to certain condition it will be closed, and after that if I increase the pressure it will release the pressure and it will avoid the damage to our machine. ओके, जर 5 बार पेक्षा जास्त प्रेशर झालं तर आपल्या कॉम्पोनंटला काहीतरी डॅमेज होणार आहे. त्यासाठी आपण काय करणार आहे तर वी डिझायनिंग फॉर द 5 बार ओनली. ओके, आणि त्याच्यापेक्षा जर जास्त झाला प्रेशर तर तो काय करेल तर त्या ठिकाणी तर तो वॉल ओपन होईल आणि ओपन झाल्यामुळे तो काय करणार आहे तर जे काही प्रेशर असेल तर ते प्रेशर रिलीज करेल. ओके, अंडरस्टूड. नेक्स्ट, आता प्रेशर स्विचेस आर अवेलेबल इन 4 टाइप्स. आता 4 टाइपचे प्रेशर स्विचेस असतात. तर कुठले कुठले तर त्या ठिकाणी बघूया तर ओके, डायफ्राम टाइप, बेलोस टाइप, बॉर्डन ट्यूब अँड पिस्टन टाइप. ओके, आता ह्या 4 टाइपचे न्यूमॅटिक स्विचेस असतात. नाउ we will go to the next slide. I will close this one. Why it is not going? Pneumatic pressure switches is used for following purpose. What is the purpose of behind to use these switches? It monitors the pressure of pneumatic power source and generate alarm signals when the air pressure drops below the present value. The pressure stop or safety purpose. Safety purpose also we can use such kind of pneumatic switches. It detect the pneumatic pressure of the driver apparatus to generate a signal. It detects the operations of pneumatic pressures. For example, it can be used to count the number of operation of a direction control valve. Okay, one video with us. Just we will see that and we will understand how actually. And after that, we will see the.
Let's take a quick look at how an SOR mechanical pressure switch works. It all starts when liquid or gaseous pressure moves a piston that in turn operates a switch. The process and its pressure one side of the piston and the switch is on the other. Add a spring so the piston can return to its original position when the pressure drops, and you have a mechanical pressure switch. Pretty simple, huh? However, while early pressure switches were sound in principle, they didn't perform well because of some inherent problems. First of all, because the piston must travel a long distance, it subjects the sealing ring and the switch to considerable wear and
below
leakage.
that we can apply the pressure.
SOR solved
If you
those
will
problems
move
in
above this,
1956
it will
by
start
using a
open.
non-moving or
Okay.
static O-ring and
Here
a diaphragm
3
between the
terminals we can
process
mount.
and the piston head. The static
It
O-ring
is
and diaphragm keep
piston
the
type,
switch
we can
dry.
say that.
For that matter, even the piston stays dry. And because the O-ring remains static at all times, it doesn't suffer the wear a moving part would. Let's review. Pressure moves the piston, which pushes against the diaphragm. A calibrated spring and area of piston determines how much pressure it takes to move the diaphragm. As the diaphragm moves, it flexes and presses against the switch. The switch activates to control whatever causes the pressure to build up, such as the addition of reactive chemicals to the mixture, amount of gas or liquid in the process container, and so on. When the pressure diminishes, the spring takes over and the piston returns to its original position.
Video is not visible. Wait. Sorry.
Grammarly helps make your writing clear and concise, no matter where you are. Compose a cover letter that stands out.
So remember, before attempting any adjustments, be sure to turn off the breaker or disconnect power going to the switch or to the pump. You can find the factory preset settings inside the cover or on the box of the pump. This particular one is preset.
Let's take a quick look at how an SOR mechanical pressure switch works. It all starts when liquid or
Hello.
gaseous pressure
Can you see?
moves a piston that in turn
Yes, sir.
operates a
Oh.
switch. The process and its pressure are on one side of the piston, and the switch is on the other. Add a spring so the piston can return to its original position when the pressure drops, and you have a mechanical pressure switch. Pretty simple, huh? However, while early pressure switches were sound in principle, they didn't perform well because of some inherent problems. First of all, because the piston must travel a long distance, it subjects the sealing ring and the switch to considerable wear and leakage. SOR solved those problems in 1956 by using a non-moving or static O-ring and a diaphragm between the process and the piston head. The static O-ring and diaphragm keep the switch dry. For that matter, even the piston stays dry. And because the O-ring remains static at all times, it doesn't suffer the wear a moving part would. Let's review. Pressure moves the piston, which pushes against the diaphragm. A calibrated spring and area of piston determines how much pressure it takes to move the diaphragm. As the diaphragm moves, it flexes and presses against the switch. The switch activates to control whatever causes the pressure to build up, such as the addition of reactive chemicals to the mixture, amount of gas or liquid in the process container, and so on. When the pressure diminishes, the spring takes over and the piston returns to its original position.
Okay, I hope you understood this one. So one more we have. Just let's see how actually working.
There are several common apps is to activate a light or sound alarm when a certain level or pressure threshold is reached. The switch has upper and lower trigger thresholds. Pressure switch can be used to switch the pump on or off when the liquid level reaches the lower or upper limit. Electronic and mechanical pressure switch. There are two main types of pressure switches, a mechanical pressure switch and an electronic pressure switch. Mechanical pressure switch. In a mechanical pressure switch, a diaphragm closes and opens the circuit when the medium pressure rises or drops to a certain set value. Electronic pressure switch. An electronic pressure switch is based on a pressure sensor element, electronic board that ensures precise switching thresholds and a virtually wear-free solid-state relays to switch the load. The pros and cons of mechanical and electronic pressure switches. Mechanical switch is usually the cheapest solution. Electronic pressure switches are normally more accurate and reliable than the mechanical ones. They feature easy programming of the operation logic and triggering thresholds. Electronic pressure switch can be equipped with the analog and digital outputs and thus also serve as a pressure transmitter. Various models have digital displays for easier measurement reading. Thank you.
Okay, I hope you understood. Now we will see there are different types of switches, pneumatic switches. First one is the diaphragm type, bellows type, Borden tube type, and piston type. In diaphragm type, one diaphragm is there, okay, and above this there is one micro switch. It will connect when it will exceed the pressure. Okay, आता ह्या ठिकाणी काय असणार आहे तर in diaphragm type, one simple plate is there. When we apply the pressure, it will move the pressure. If you increase the maximum amount of pressure, तर ह्या ठिकाणी बघू शकता तुम्ही. आता सपोज हा डायफ्राम टाइप प्रेशर तर 5 बार साठी डिझाईन केलेलं असेल तर अप टू 5 बार it does not touch these 2 points. Okay, when we increase the pressure, okay, obviously it will touch the this point and it will release the pressure. Okay, he काय होणार तर टच होईल, हे दोन्ही पॉइंट टच होतील बटन सारखं आणि ते काय होणार आहे तर प्रेशर रिलीज होणार आहे. आता तुम्ही म्हणत असाल हाऊ टू ऍडजस्ट द प्रेशर इनसाइड दॅट. आता प्रेशर कसं इनसाइड ऍडजस्ट करणार आहे तर किती बार आपण ऍडजस्ट करणार आहे तर डिपेंड अपॉन धिस स्प्रिंग. ओके, ह्या स्प्रिंग वरती ते डिपेंड राहणार आहे. वेन वी इन्क्रीज द प्रेशर ऑन दिस डायफ्रॅम the amount of pressure will sustain that diaphragm. म्हणजे जर आपण ह्या ठिकाणी जर प्रेशर इन्क्रीज केला ह्या स्प्रिंगचा तर तेवढ्या अमाऊंट मध्ये काय असणार आहे तर प्रेशर सस्टेन करेल आणि त्यापेक्षा जर जास्त झालं तर हे रिलीज करायला स्टार्ट करेल. ओके, दिस इज अबाउट द डायफ्रॅम. ओके, यू कॅन सी दिस वन इन डायफ्रॅम. Yes, see this one. Okay, this one is the diaphragm. Below that spring is there. Plate is there. Actual diaphragm. This one. And this is closed condition. When it exceeds the pressure, it will open. Okay, such kind of. Okay, I hope you understood this diaphragm type. Next, bellow type. In bellows, okay, you can see here there are two springs. Okay, this one is the bellow. Bellow is similar to your balloon. Okay, and if we will extend, आता बलून मध्ये जर जास्त हवा झाली तर तो काय होणार आहे तर तो एक्सपांड होतं. सिमिलरली if we increase the pressure, it will start expanding and it will connect to the switch and depend upon it will adjust the pressure. Okay, this one is the bellow type. Next, Borden tube. In Borden tube, one Borden tube is consist. If we increase the pressure, it will start deflating this tube. Okay, due to deflection, it will connect the switch and it will release the pressure. And last one is the piston type. Okay, we have seen that first video. It is similar to your piston type pneumatic switch. When we increase the pressure, this piston will move upper side and it will connect that electronic switch and it will release the pressure. Okay, next, pressure transducer. Okay, next device is the pressure transducer. Transducer, it is used to convert mechanical power into the electrical signals. Okay, तो काय करणार आहे तर मेकॅनिकल प्रेशर असेल तर त्या ठिकाणी इलेक्ट्रिकल सिग्नल मध्ये कन्वर्ट करण्याचं जे काही काम करेल तो म्हणजे कुठला आहे तर आपला प्रेशर transducer. There are different types of pressure transducers are available. Again, depend upon the fluid. Okay, आता त्या ठिकाणी एअर असेल तर हायड्रोलिक प्रेशर ट्रान्सड्यूसर वी कॅन से दॅट इफ एअर इज देअर देन न्यूमॅटिक प्रेशर, then again we can use oil, water. There are different types of fluid we can use for to we need to require to convert pressure into the electrical signals. Okay, simply you can remember that the pressure transducer is the it will convert pressure into the some electrical signals. That element is known as the pressure transducer. जो काही एलिमेंट असेल तो जो काही आपला मेकॅनिकल एलिमेंट आहे किंवा इलेक्ट्रिकल तर त्या एलिमेंटला काय म्हणलं जातं तर ट्रान्सड्यूसर असं म्हणतात. ट्रान्सड्यूसर आर व्हेरिएबल प्रेशर सेन्सर टू मेजर deflection and resistance. The producing signal will be either a voltage, current, or frequency based on applied pressure. Means this pressure transducer depend upon the, okay, it will generate either voltage, frequency. Okay, next, transducer typically produce one of three type of output. ओके, आता कुठले कुठले टाईपचे आउटपुट प्रोड्यूस करणार आहे? प्रेशर सेन्स करून एक तर मिली व्होल्ट मध्ये करंट प्रोड्यूस करेल, किंवा व्होल्टेज, किंवा मिली अँपियर. या तीन गोष्टींमध्ये काय केलं जाणार आहे, तर आउटपुट आपण त्या ठिकाणी मेजर केलं जाणार. मीन्स वी कॅन कन्वर्ट दॅट इनटू इलेक्ट्रिकल सिग्नल्स, and that electrical signals are either millivolt, volt, or the milliampere. The majority of transducer have a pressure sensitive elements that react to pressure entering through the transducer pressure ports. Okay, next, as the sensing element or a diaphragm is deflected due to the pressure force, it moves relative to resistor or the capacitor plate. This in turn send an output signal that is determined by the varying tension between the input signal, diaphragm position, and core resistance. Means we can say that here it is written, if we apply the pressure on the transducer, it will convert that depend upon the either resistance or the capacitance, capacitive inside that डायफ्रॅम. ओके, त्या डायफ्रॅम मध्ये जे काय असेल, रजिस्टर असेल किंवा कॅपॅसिटर, तो डेव्हलप करेल आणि डिपेंड अपॉन इट विल जनरेट द इलेक्ट्रिकल सिग्नल्स. ओके, नेक्स्ट प्रॉक्सिमिटी. बिफोर दॅट वी विल सी दॅट हाऊ दॅट ऍक्च्युअली वर्किंग ऑफ प्रेशर ट्रान्सड्यूसर. Just remember that pressure transducers are the
शूटिंग म्हटलं की मेकअप आलाच, आणि मेकअप म्हटलं की पिंपल्स, ऍक्ने, डार्क स्पॉट्स आलेच. पण माझ्या चेहऱ्यावर
Did you know that you get a great discount on Siemens PLC starter
can see
kits when
this.
you get a Real Pars Pro membership? Check out the links in the description. Over the years, the terms sensor, transducer, and transmitter have become confusing because they're often used interchangeably and indiscriminately by different vendors. The terms sensor and transducer have been around for a very long time, but in the world of process control, the term transmitter is not very old. In particular, the term transducer is tossed around as a name for many devices and instruments. If you conduct a web search of the terms sensor and transducer, you'll get lots of different definitions. Sensor and transducer have often been used as synonyms. Okay, let's start with some senses that changes in a physical variable. A sensor is a device that makes physical contact with the variable being measured and detects changes and provides a corresponding output signal that can be measured. A transducer is a device that converts one form of energy to another. A transducer provides an output quantity having a specified relation to an input quantity. In the field of instrumentation, the output quantity is an electrical or electronic signal. So, we say that a transducer measures pressure, load, force, or other states, and converts the reading into an electrical or electronic signal. For example, a strain gauge is a transducer whose resistance value changes proportionally to the strain it experiences. Here's an interesting statement. All sensors are transducers, but not all transducers are sensors. What do we mean by that? Well, consider a loudspeaker that converts an electrical signal into motion. The loudspeaker is a transducer, but not a sensor. All right, let's talk about the term transmitter, because it has more than one definition. In the world of process control, a transmitter is of the physical variable pressure with a range of 0 to 100 psi. Our sensor amplified in simple measurement. So, we just said that the transmitter signal represents picture. Here's an example. We're measuring a process pressure with a range of 0 to 100 psi. Our sensor transducer performs the initial measurement and converts it to an electrical signal of 0 to 3 millivolts. The transmitter then converts that signal to a standard signal of 1 to 5 volts, which is received by a PLC analog input module. Many vendors use the terms pressure transmitter and pressure transducer interchangeably, but we now know that the two devices are not the same. So it's buyer beware. If you're curious, conduct a web search of the two terms. Is a pressure switch different than a pressure transmitter? Transducer 0 to 100% of physical process pressure. As we've already discussed, a pressure transmitter produces an analog electrical voltage or a current signal representing 0 to 100% of physical process pressure. A pressure switch has electrical contacts that open and close at a specific pressure. Can a pressure transmitter be used to function as a pressure switch? The answer is absolutely yes. But is it really worth it? First of all, a pressure transmitter is larger, more expensive, and often with an example, transmitter calibrated to produce a 4 to 20 milliamps output for a pressure range of 0 to 100 psi. We need an analog input module on our PLC, and we need to scale the analog module and insert code into the PLC. Then stick with a sensor is a device or element that performs the initial measurement of a physical variable. All sensors are sensing transducer and an electrical switch that opens or closes a contact at a
You can see
specific
this one.
pressure.
When we apply
A pressure
transducer,
transmitter
it will
is a
convert
device
it.
that converts the electrical to 100 as a pressure switch, but it is not starter kits when you become a RealPARS Pro member. After signing up,
Okay, I hope understood this one. Pressure transducer. Okay, pressure transducer and pressure sensors are different one. Pressure transducer, it is function only, it will convert that pressure into the electricity. But in pressure sensor, it will convert, okay, that pressure sensor into measurable output. जे काय measurable output, आता मी तुम्हाला सांगितलं तर ह्या ठिकाणी जे काय ट्रान्सड्यूसर मध्ये असेल तर ते मिली व्होल्ट मध्ये मिळेल. And that conversion of millivolt to, okay, voltage, okay, for that we need to use amplifier and other devices. If you use amplifier and other devices, then it will move towards the sensor part. Okay, तो काय होईल तर sensor होणार. Transducers and sensors are both are different terms. You will remember. Next one is the proximity sensors. Now this one is very important because nowadays the all machineries they are using these proximity sensors. Previously they are using the limit switches to detect the position of any ऑब्जेक्ट. एखाद्या ऑब्जेक्टची पोझिशन डिफाईन करायची असेल तर त्यावेळेस लिमिट स्विचेस यूज करत होते. परंतु नाउ डे यू कॅन सी द ऑल ओव्हर दे आर युजिंग द proximity sensors. Proximity sensors are sensors that detect the movement or presence of object without physical contact. म्हणजे काय आहे तर एक असा सेन्सर आहे तो काय करणार आहे तर सेन्स करणार आहे ऑब्जेक्टला किंवा जो काही ऑब्जेक्ट असेल तुमचा मुवमेंट मध्ये असेल किंवा समोर असेल प्रेझेंट मध्ये असेल तर त्याला डिटेक्ट करण्याचं काम काय करणार आहे तर आपला हा proximity sensor करणार आहे. Again, these sensor, okay, cannot touch with a object, okay, without touching of physical object. तुमच्या physical object ला न टच करता काय करणार आहे तर तो सेन्स करणार आहे. असा जो काही सेन्सर आहे त्याला आपण काय म्हणतो तर proximity sensor. Okay, sensors which will detect the movement presence of a object without physical contact, means without touching to that object, and relay the information capture into a electrical signals, means it will detect and it will convert into the some electrical signals. Application of proximity sensors: safety of human and robots by avoiding collisions, means these are used for safety of the humans as well as the robots. Inventory management, object detection, positioning, inspection, and counting. For that, we need this proximity sensors. Means you want to count the how many product is passed from the that conveyor. Then in that case, you require this proximity sensor. Or to find the position of object, then also we need to use this proximity sensors, as well as to count how many objects. Okay, then also we need this proximity sensor. Part detection in industrial conveyor system, in smartphone to detect how far a user is holding the phone from body part. Capacitive switches is appliances. Diffuse sensors in public washrooms. Okay, these are the used for the might be you have seen in washrooms also these kinds of the proximity sensors are used to on off the we can say that switches of the might be you have seen in nowadays in washrooms that contactless we can say that water system or the hand sanitizing system. In that also we can use such kind of the sensors. Okay, there are two types of the proximity sensor. Okay, first one is the inductive type of proximity sensors. Okay, it will produce some inductance and it will detect the object. And this inductive type of proximity sensors are used for to detect only metallic parts. Okay, हे कशासाठी यूज करणार आहे तर फक्त आणि फक्त मेटॅलिक पार्ट डिटेक्ट करण्यासाठी जे काही सेन्सर्स यूज करणार आहे कॉन्टॅक्ट नॉन कॉन्टॅक्ट टाईप म्हणूया आपण त्या ठिकाणी. ओके, जो काही सेन्सर यूज करणार आहे तो म्हणजे कोणता आहे तर आपला इंडक्टिव्ह टाईप प्रॉक्सिमिटी सेन्स and only it will detect the metal parts. Okay, you can see here this one is the some sensing element. After that this one is the oscillator, schematic trigger and amplifier. Okay, it will induce some waves of the generate some induced current. It will touch to metal part and it will detect by this amplifier or the depend upon the drop of current. It will, if it will pass some current inside that, it will induce some current or it will start generating some ed current in front of this, and that current will generate some waves, and that waves it will cut the object if in front of that. Due to cut of that waves, it will generate amplitude drop of the current drop, and that current drop we can convert into the our signals. If there is no object, okay, here put जर object नसेल तर it will collect all the okay ed current and it will generate the same amount of voltage. Okay, तर ज्यावेळेस मी व्होल्टेज पास करेन तर एक ईडी करंट प्रोड्यूस इंड्युस्ड ईडी करंट पास होईल. तो पास काय करेल तर जर ह्यामध्ये ह्या समोर जर कुठलाही ऑब्जेक्ट नसेल तर तो काय करेल तर कंटिन्युअसली पास करत राहील आणि आउटपुट काय मिळेल तर देर इज नो व्होल्टेज ड्रॉप. जर मी या ठिकाणी ऑब्जेक्ट ह्या समोर आणला कॉन्टॅक्टच्या समोर आणला तर काय होईल तर त्या ठिकाणी तर इट विल कॉन्टॅक्ट और इट विल इनसाइड दॅट waves to that object. Due to that incidence of that waves, it will drop the voltage, and if it will drop the voltage, it will, okay, we can say that the object is inside of the in front of that sensor. Okay, त्या सेन्सरच्या समोरच्या साईडला आहे आपण त्या ठिकाणी सांगू शकतो. Okay, just we'll watch that video and again we'll understand.
Hello everyone, welcome to install of the bulb. This can be done in two ways. The first way is to install switch on the wire that runs from the positive terminal of the battery to the light bulb. And the second way is to install switch on the wire that runs from the negative terminal of the battery to the light bulb. Now switch 1 is set to switch the positive side of the circuit, while switch 2 is set to switch the negative side of the circuit. Here the bulb connected in the circuit is the load. By switching the positive side of the circuit or by switching the negative side of the circuit, the connected load can be controlled. In proximity sensors, bipolar junction transistors are used for this positive side switching or negative side switching of the circuit, and this switching helps to control the load connected to the proximity sensor. Bipolar junction transistors are of two types, NPN transistor and PNP transistor. An NPN between Let's now, when the sensors PNP or NPN proximity sensor consists of a proximity sensor circuit and a PNP or NPN transistor circuit. The purpose of sensor circuit or proximity sensor circuit is to detect any nearby object. When the sensor circuit detects an object, it sends an output high signal to the transistor circuit. The transistor-based circuit may use PNP or NPN transistors, and it depends on the application that sensor is used for. PNP and NPN has nothing to do with whether the sensor is normally open or normally closed. That means a PNP sensor may be either normally open or normally closed. Likewise, an NPN sensor can also be normally open or normally closed. Now let's discuss about a 3-wire PNP proximity sensor. A 3-wire proximity sensor consists of signal output sensor or PLC. When a metal sensor, so the bulb will be switched on.
You can see in this one.
Now let's discuss about 3-wire NPN proximity sensor. The sensor consists of blue wire is used to convey the negative voltage wire, and the sensor from the power source to the sensor and will be connected to the input of the load. NPN or metal object is detected on when an object is detected and switch off when object make the low output of the NPN high when an object is present. As NPN transistors are naturally on, they emit a high signal on the signal line that has a voltage just above the voltage fed into the positive voltage pin, that is the brown pin. This high signal is fed into the input of an inverter, and the inverter inverts it into a low signal. Thus, with this low voltage, the bulb cannot be powered on. When a metal object is detected, a low signal is emitted on the signal line of the transistor. This low signal is fed into the input of an inverter, and the inverter inverts it into a high signal. Thus, with this high voltage, the bulb is powered on.
I hope understood this one. Next, you can remember these proximity sensors are used for detecting the object, only metal objects, we can say that, and without contacting, without contact to our sensor. कुठलाही कॉन्टॅक्ट नसणार त्या दोन्ही ऑब्जेक्ट मध्ये. नाव इट्स time is 11:54. Yes, we will go through it and we will finish inductive. Next times we will type start the capacity. Okay. You can see here, inductive proximity sensors are contactless sensor used to only detect Om Metkari. Why you written roll numbers? Should I told that write roll numbers? Okay. Okay, we will continue afterward. Just write down your roll numbers in chat box. You can write your roll numbers in chat box and you can leave, no problem. If you have any problem, you can ask me. You can write your roll numbers in chat box and you can leave. If you have any problem, you can ask me. Aniket, Vinayak, you have any problem?